Hello, today I'm going to discuss the world's greatest magic trick. And that trick is something that the bankers have pulled over the people. And basically what they've done is they've convinced people that the fake, bogus fiat paper currency that they print every day and that they continue to counterfeit every month by printing trillions, or creating rather, because they don't even print it in cash money. So they just create digital credits of trillions of euros, trillions of dollars, and they convince you that this is money, while real money, like physical gold and physical silver, is not money, but it's risky and you should never buy it, and it's an investment and it's not even money. So I'm going to talk about some of the various propaganda bull that bankers have propagated over the past decade, or even some of the more popular ones I've seen over the past few years that people use to rationalize not buying any physical gold and physical silver, or not converting any of their bogus paper fiat currency into real money like physical gold and physical silver. So this is going to be a two-part series. This is part one. Stay tuned for part two. But here we go. I'm going to start off with some of the most bogus propaganda spread by banksters that convince people to stay out of physical gold and physical silver when it's the worst possible thing they could be doing. Number one. Okay, this is a popular one that I have heard time and time again, that people say, oh, I'm not going to buy physical gold and physical silver because there's crazy people that buy gold and silver. All they pray for every night, they're praying every night that the dollar will crash and the euro will crash, and they hate our country and they hate the EU and they hate the United States, and we just want to see apocalypse. Now, that kind of logic and that kind of reasoning is so off base, because that is like saying, if you know for 100% certainty that an earthquake is coming, and so you go 24 hours beforehand, before the earthquake happens, to a place, or basically to warn the people there, because you know that if anyone stays, they're all going to die, and you tell them, please save yourselves and leave this place right now, and that if you do, you can live. Because there's nothing you can do to prevent the earthquake. So that's like saying, just by going and telling those people that they can be saved, and you're telling them a way to save them, that you are actually going to cause this earthquake. If you had never gone to this place, to this city, and told them earthquake is coming, that the earthquake would never happen. That is ridiculous. That is just like the argument people say that people who buy physical gold and physical silver are praying for economic collapse and for financial Armageddon. We are not the ones, physical gold buyers and physical silver buyers, we are not the ones that are creating this financial Armageddon. Central bankers are. Look at what the U.S. Federal Reserve has done in creating trillions and trillions of more U.S. dollars. What do you think that's doing to the value of your dollar? It's crushing it. Look at what the European Central Bank has done by just printing 500 billion more euros, or creating, like I said before, it's not even real money, creating 500 billion digital credits and giving it to over 500 banks in the EU to save them in December, and then doing it again, printing another 500 billion, or creating another 500 billion euros in February, because the 500 billion euros they created in December of 2011 was not enough. And then what are they going to do in 2 or 3 months when the trillion euros they just created is not enough to save the banking system? They're just going to do it again. So by telling people to buy physical gold and physical silver, to convert your fiat currencies into real money like physical gold and physical silver, we are not creating this problem. The problem has already been created and it's set in stone. We are trying to save people from financial ruin. Myth number two. What does that even mean? People always say gold is too high, I can't buy it now. I heard that when gold was $500 an ounce back in 2005, because people say, oh, it started at $250, now it's $500. So it doubled, it's too high, it's going to crash, I can't buy it. And I heard it at $600 an ounce, people say it's too high. I heard it's $700 an ounce, $800, $900. I heard it at $1,000 an ounce, it's too high. And now it's $1,600 an ounce, as it is today. People say, oh, it's definitely too high. But if you ask someone, the interesting thing is, when the next time somebody says to you, I'm not going to buy gold because it's way too expensive, price is too high, ask them, why they think it's too high. Because I guarantee you 99% of people that tell you gold's price is too high can't explain why they think it's too high. It's because they're parroting some banker puppet and some banker shill on the media that they heard say that the gold price was too high. But if you ask them why, they just say, oh, it's just too high. You know, it's like comparable to the bad parenting technique of when a parent tells a child to do something and the child says, but mommy, why? And the parent says, because I said so. And that's what bankers are telling you. They say, gold's price is too high or silver's price is too high, and I told you that. So you better listen to me and not buy it and continue buying our counterfeit money that we keep creating trillions and trillions and more while the value of our fiat currency like euros and dollars keeps plummeting. So that's a crazy concept. People can't even explain why they think it's too high when it's, in fact, indeed, it's not because of these fake paper markets the bankers created, like the GLD ETF and the SLV ETF, which actually take money away from money that would be going to buying physical gold and physical silver, and actually, you know, decreasing the physical supply of gold and physical supply of silver. And when the prices are set in paper futures market, because that's the spot price of gold and silver's pegged to the futures price of gold and silver. And these are fake paper markets where they create hundreds of times more paper ounces of gold and silver that don't even exist in the real world. So all I can tell you is that we don't know what the free market price of gold and silver would be, but I can tell you that would be multiples higher than even the price it is today. Gold at $16.60 and silver at like $32 or $33 an ounce. Would be multiples higher. So it's suppressed. And then the crazy thing is, if you ask you know, anyone that is married or engaged, if they bought a diamond ring for their girlfriend or their wife, or for their fiance or their wife, they say, of course so. But yet, they don't see anything wrong with paying, you know, way over market price for what a diamond should be. Because if you convert, because a carat is a weight, and a troy ounce, which precious metals are gauged in as far as their price, is also a weight, you can convert it. So 1 troy ounce is approximately equal to 155.5 carats. And if you look at a flawless 1 carat diamond, and you go to various websites online, doesn't matter like where in the world, you'll see a flawless 1 carat diamond will cost anywhere between $18,000 to $40,000 US dollars. So, and then when you get into bigger carat diamonds, the price per carat even goes up higher, because a 2 carat diamond or a 3 carat flawless diamond per carat is going to be more expensive than a 1 carat flawless diamond. But so let's just take as our base a 1 carat flawless diamond. So if you convert that at a price of $18,000 to $40,000 for a flawless 1 carat diamond to 1 troy ounce, then you would be paying anywhere from $2.6 million to $6.4 million per troy ounce. If that was an equivalent weight you're going to pay for an ounce of gold. But everyone that says $1,600 is way too expensive for gold and $33 per troy ounce is way too expensive for silver, I'm not going to pay that. I'm not going to pay that. But you know, when they propose to their girlfriend, when they get married, they're willing to pay $2.6 to $6.4 million per troy ounce of diamonds. Yeah, that's real logical. Propaganda point number 3. Now, this point is perhaps the dumbest one I've ever heard of. You know, people will say, oh, gold is just a useless metal. Like, in a case where the dollar crashes or the euro crashes, what are you going to do? Eat it? Well, what if gold crashes? Are you going to eat a US dollar bill? Can you eat this? Does it have lots of protein? Can you eat a Chinese yuan? I mean, that is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And if I had to make a choice, you know, they say US dollars, like 92% of them have traces of cocaine. They're infected with antibiotic-resistant bacteria like Staphylococcus and alpha-hemolytic streptococcus and all kinds of other bacteria that I can't even pronounce because I'm not an epidemiologist. So, you know, money is so much dirtier than gold is or silver is. So if I had a choice between eating a dollar bill or eating a 1 ounce gold coin, I would choose this 99.9% pure metal to eat before I would ever eat a dirty dollar bill. And that point's so dumb, I'm not even going to spend any more time on it. Myth number 4. Now this myth probably is actually one of the most believed myths out there, that, you know, why should I buy gold? Because the banksters can just control the price in the paper futures market and their bogus fraudulent markets, and they can take it down any time they want. Well, there's a couple reasons why that thinking is all wrong. Because number one, bankers had their way. Gold would still be at $250 an ounce like it started in this bull market over 11 years ago, and silver will still be at 4. But what is it today? Gold has risen more than 600% or 500% against its starting price more than 11 years ago. Silver has risen more than 700% over that time period. So obviously they cannot control the price and keep it down to the price level that they want it to be, because trust me, if they had their way, gold would be less than $250 an ounce right now, and silver would be less than 4. So in the short term, they can manipulate. Yes, they can manipulate it, but they cannot control the upward movement because they keep counterfeiting the existing dollars, existing euros, existing yen, the other existing fiat currencies out there, and that is what's driving the price up. And in the true physical market, the physical supply is continuing to shrink, and the physical demand is continuing to increase. And if you think really the bankers own all the gold in the world, tell that to the Indians, tell that to the Japanese, these private investors, the two countries that own, as far as private ownership of gold is concerned, are number 1 and 2 in the world. Tell that to Chinese billionaires, tell that to Russian billionaires, tell it to the Arab petrodollar billionaires that have been buying physical gold and physical silver like crazy under the radar screen over the past couple of years. So let me explain this like a little more detail so you understand exactly why that is not true, and why you still should convert your fiat paper, fake, counterfeit currencies into physical gold and physical silver that's real money. Okay, say under a gold standard, right? Just for a hypothetical reason, I know that $5 will never be backed by like a 1 ounce gold coin or 1 ounce of gold. But in the instance, this is how a gold standard worked. You had, say, again, just for a hypothetical scenario, you had this amount of gold backing this amount of dollars. And then the Fed Reserve decides to try to cheat the people. So they don't buy any more gold to back the creation of new dollars that they want to create, but they double the money supply, right? So now you have basically twice as much money still backed by the same amount of gold, okay? So, but they tell you that the gold conversion rate is still the same, and they did this post-World War I. The Bank of England did this. They didn't want to change the gold to pound conversion ratio, so they lied to everyone and said still the same. So knowing basically that one of these is only backed by half of this, right? Because just remember, they created twice as much money, didn't buy any more gold, and it's backed by the same amount of gold, right? So the conversion rate now should be half of this, right, to one of these. But they're telling you it's one full of these to one of these. So what am I going to do with my gold? Or being on a gold standard? I can take this bill in and say, okay, lying, thieving banker, give me 1 ounce of gold, because I know it's only worth half an ounce of gold. And I'll give you this. You're going to have to give me a real asset, and then you get your fake counterfeit money back in return. So that's why bankers hate the gold standard, because what this basically does, right? To use another analogy in playing poker, this gold basically serves as a royal flush, okay? So it allows you to have a royal flush every time you're playing poker, and to call the banker's bluff. Okay, so that's why owning gold and owning silver is important. Because right now, if you don't own gold and silver, every time you play poker with the bankers could be holding this crappy hand, you could be holding this, and you could still lose, because the bankers can bluff you into thinking that they have a better hand than you. Well, maybe not with a royal flush, but say you had a very, very strong hand, because, you know, royal flush is the best hand you can have in poker. But say you had a lesser hand and they have this, they can still bluff you into folding every single time. But that your insurance against this banker's bluff and the banker's devaluation of fiat currency all over the world is, remember that This serves as your ability to call the banker's bluff. So that concludes part one of this two-part series about the world's greatest magic trick. And hopefully you understand the propaganda points now of how bankers have disseminated this propaganda to get you to believe that their fake fiat counterfeit money is real money, and to get you to believe the opposite of what is true, is that gold and silver are not real money. So hopefully after watching this, you will go out there. If you haven't bought your first ounce of silver and you haven't bought your first ounce of gold, you understand why this can also collapse the immoral banking system, and hopefully bring a new monetary system into creation that gives us all the financial freedom that none of us have had in our lifetimes. Okay, thanks for watching, and again, stay tuned for part two. So long.